cause from the healing magic stuff I've been talking about. Hey, from Canada, eh? You know what I'm talking about? Just because maybe 7 or 8 comments by 3 different people referring to the same person, the same video, and the same subject matter. So, in all honesty, this looks like maybe people that either talk to each other. Some of it feels like it could be a potential setup, but I'm gonna fucking bait the fucking trap anyways and see what the fuck happens. I'm not too fucking worried about it, to be completely honest with you. And you'll find out why in a bit. But anyway, so I'm driving to work, so I can't necessarily read the comments. But at some point, whenever I'm stopped or on break, I will absolutely read you the comments and tell you where it's coming from. But this will just be the introduction, where I don't need any of the actual information yet, just to set the stage, set the tone of what I'm about to speak about, why I'm going to speak about it, what's the purpose of me speaking about it, what my opinion is, whose side am I on, and why it will or will not serve you from the get-go. So, all that now being said, let's get into what we're going to talk about. So, I'll use my recollection and I'll come back and correct it later. But the first comment I had on this, maybe it wasn't the first one on the list, but it's definitely the one I remember the best, was from Mika Vlog PC, I want to say is her YouTube screen name. Anyways, and it's something to do with Thunderwizard saying there's not different versions of the Bible, and I think they want to say there is. There's not many different versions of the Bible, and then either in the same first comment or in a separate comment, they tell me to check out a specific video titled Thunderwizard Trashed by Religious Scholar, and somewhere at 11 hours, or 1 hour and 11 seconds, thereabouts, I think is the timestamp, Thunderwizard says himself that there are different versions. Well, throughout the thing, he says there's different versions at times, which he does. I mean, it's true. But he does make this distinction at one point, the distinction, there's different versions. Whether you're talking about straight up the different religious sects, the different Christianities are, and there's slight variations of every Bible. There are different versions of the Bible, but a lot of the text is the same. Or you're talking about every Bible that has one different translation here. Some of the ones that have, the different beginning stories, and the word Elohim versus we, created man in our image, or God created man in his image, that's another one that was switched. I forget which one, so I won't even say for sure. But, so he makes a distinction at one point in the video that, and then he says there are many different versions. I don't know if it's this video or the video that preceded this one that he's talking about, not the one that was directly before it, but the one that laid the foundation for this one, where he was commenting on another commenter's comment who wanted to bring guns and weapons into the temple where the money changers were, and I think that's talking about the bank. Money changers equal bank. Which, before I go any further, I don't think he's ever said this, but I think there actually is something to his theory that, not his theory, but he says that Jesus, in some of these Bibles, say, give unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. One of the messages is to be a good, pacified little human being, and that's the whole reason for the Jesus story, Christianity, which I also believe to a certain degree, that is kind of the case. But right down to the, he says, he says he can't say it's fact yet because he hasn't looked enough up, but he has a suspicion that Jesus going in there, making his own hand whip fucking weapon, going in there and turning over the money changers, doing Jesus was something that the creators of the Bible added in there for people to be able to relate to him, be able to be like, oh yeah, I love when Jesus does shit like that. You ever watch an action movie and all of a sudden the hero's being picked on or someone's being picked on and the hero comes in and kicks the fucking guy's ass, and like you're just waiting for that when they build up the suspense. It's like, oh, okay, then that bad guy is a really good actor in that sense because he gets you to fucking hate him, you know, that kind of thing. Well, so I'm just right now. I'm just setting the stage. I'm not saying if I will specifically say if I agree or disagree, which I have said throughout here already. But for the most part, I'm just setting the stage, what I heard and or my interpretations. And I might say this is what I heard, but it might be just how I saw it whenever I watched the video. But anyways, so Thunderwizard thinks that was added in there for us to like kind of relate to him, that he's a badass, that Jesus is working for us. But they did it on the money changers versus the tax collectors, because he's making the case and states that it was the Romans making this religion because there was a threat of all these Jews coming together and overthrowing them. And how do you keep a group of people that have you in numbers, especially before guns and other fucking really good fucking weaponry, right? I mean, these guys could all make spears and would be as sharp. They might not have the horses to go horseback, but they would have the numbers. And, you know, 3 or 4 guys on each side of somebody walking with a horse. This is just my speculation. But on both sides of the horse, if you planned it, you know, that guy's might get 1 or 2 of you, but there's at least one guy there, and even the other guys, before they get hit, should be able to take that man out and then take his horse, right? So if you have the numbers, and like not just like you double them, like if you have like 6 times the amount of them, you can lose half your military and take their stuff. You know what I mean? And still be very successful. But the point is, how do you keep people pacified and in a state of, okay, well, we're being oppressed right now, we have the numbers, but give us a reason to not do anything and just keep complaining about our suffering. And that's what happens. They were given just that. Anyways, they were given just that. I didn't help the guy, but I fucking had to work. I actually said that to my wife last night. I had this suspicion. Because I had a dream and I was talking with an angel. There's an angel that came to my dream. And among other things, one of the questions I asked was about that. And this wasn't me being conscious of my dream. This was just a dream. And me not being conscious of my dream. I wrote it down and I remember it. One of the questions I asked was, what are you? And the angel didn't give me a straight answer. He said, I already know what they are. I'm like, well, are you actually a being? Are you real? And they said, no. I already know what they are. And I made it very clear, I'm pretty positive. To me, anyways, angels are all powerful. So. But anyways, one of the other things I asked was about Christianity, the Bible, heaven and hell. And I won't get into the specific question I asked. It was my dream, right? So it's a little whatever. But the reason I was asking was like, why was the myth of heaven created and hell created? And among a few other things, what's most relevant to this is the answer I got was to keep slaves to be slaves, so that they can overthrow their people that are holding them hostage, their masters. But that would be bad. They would be as bad as them. So masters, knowing that, or thinking anyways that there is no heaven or hell, they believe in their gods, it's just reincarnation, blah 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 blah. Make the best time you can while you're down here, because you don't remember when you reincarnate, you don't take anything with you, so it's really about the ride, right? So the Romans say, not from them obviously, from someone else, but this is what the angel said to me, and I'm not saying this is true or false, but the Romans say, yes, we're bad, what we're doing to you is bad, and we're going to go to hell and burn in hell for it. What you guys are doing, it's not your fault, you are all slaves, so you fight us, but then you're going to be bad just like us, and you're going to go to hell too. And all the slavery is for nothing. So if you stay in slavery, you're going to get to go to heaven when you're done. It's way better than this round, just like hell's way worse than this round. They don't care. As long as they buy it and everything stays the same, and everything doesn't go into chaos, then they're happy, right? That's why I love one of the answers I got for why was heaven and hell created. And that's how I got onto the question of what are you? Are you real? Because after I heard heaven wasn't real, it's like, well, from the Bible perspective, angels are there for the gates of heaven, to shoot Lucifer down in the beginning, to whatever. But what I do, the angels are around me all the time. So these angels aren't in heaven. These angels are around the four directions of my body at any given time. So the word angel, as it works in the Bible, is not the same as what I use these angels for. The archangels that are surrounding me at all times are protecting me. One's for each element of my being. And yeah, so these things aren't in heaven and they only come down when I call them. They're around me all the time. But unless you activate them, use the visualization, whatever, blah, 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 then, they're not really doing much for you. And maybe things aren't even angels, but it's just something that was created, like a thought form once again, and you can use to your benefit. Who knows? But anyways, so all that being said, I found a weird coincidence that, because I was just going to ignore these fucking comments, but after that fucking dream, not last night, it just happened, previous night, so if you're not sure, today's Thursday, depending on when I release this, right, it could be 2 days from now, it could be tonight, but it would have been Wednesday night, no, it would have been Tuesday night sleep, that I spoke to this angel that came to me and asked a whole fuckload of questions, and I wasn't in heaven, I was in my bedroom, and the angel was talking to me, and felt, so the dream wasn't a lucid dream, it wasn't anything like that, but I felt like I was awake, I felt like I was awake, although I wasn't conscious. Anyways, all that aside, the reason I'm saying all that is Thunderwizard's point is the Romans created this religion to keep the Jews pacified and in slavery. And it works, and I tend to fucking agree with that. I forget why I got on that big rant, but I tend to agree with that. But I'm gonna have to figure this shit out. Alright, sorry, I had to go back. You don't know, you just see it start back up. But anyways, okay, so the reason I got into what the angel told me and how it connects to this about religion, about any organized religion that tells you that there's a better life waiting beyond the gates as long as you're a good little obedient person. This way, overthrow the government, stop paying your taxes, do a bunch of bad shit because you realize the truth is that, the truth is that there is no afterlife after this life, just reincarnate and shit like that. But if you give everybody that lie, then they're going to stay in order and they're not going to do the bad things because they don't want to be like their captors. They're bad, you're good, you can go to heaven, they're going to go to hell. You want to have that ultimate revenge at the end, which kind of plays on your ego a little bit. Well, not ego, I don't believe that word ego means what you think it means, but it plays on that part of you that revenge, you know what I mean? Like, okay, fine, they got us with me right now, but when I die and I see them in hell, or when Jesus comes back and puts them all in hell, you're gonna be the first one there. But hey, Jesus, give me a second, bro. I'm just gonna laugh this motherfucker here and put his way down to hell because I told him he was going to hell. It plays into that, which is definitely not fucking healthy whatsoever, like at all. But and for most of them, right? Most people want to fucking be right about their religion to the point where people fight wars and die over this shit. Anyways, the reason I got into this is because they threw that, according to Thunderwizard, okay, he thinks Jesus, this is not mine, I'm just putting out what I think Thunderwizard, because I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I want to get accurately his point of view on a few things. And right now I'm agreeing with him, so and even if I don't agree with him completely on this point, I think overall, no offense to everybody, I'll just set the stage now, I'm probably going to agree more on Thunderwizard's side overall about this. Even though I am one of those people, he's not talking about me directly, and I'm okay with him fucking making fun of the idea that New Age people take what they want out of the Bible. I'm okay with that. It doesn't bug me what he thinks about that. It doesn't. At one point, one thing that Thunderwizard says that always gets me off, even the affirmation things I can ignore. Now, a few times I chose to bring it up, to prove my points and all that, but that generally comes from, if he talks about that, plus Western Magick is an Abrahamic religion and it's bullshit, it doesn't work. That's what really triggers me, is that right there, because, truth be told, I've had a lot of success because of Western Magick, regardless of where it comes from and what it does, what its purpose is. I've had a lot of success with it, and, when he starts doing that, and that bugs me a little bit, because I don't want to be lumped in with Christianity, at least consciously. Do I still have some unconscious shit about Christianity? Probably. I'm 34 years old. I've only been doing this deprogramming and New Age and spiritual stuff for 5 years now, and the first 2 years I really wasn't really deprogramming. I was watching a lot of stuff saying that religion was satanic or blah blah blah, but anyways, all that's to say is, at this point, and I don't think I'm putting words in Thunderwizard's mouth by saying this, but he says they added that in there just so they could relate. They picked money changers inside the temple instead of tax collectors because they wanted people to pay their taxes, and they didn't care which fucking god they were fucking worshiping. Didn't matter then. They didn't care. But the Jews didn't want to be oppressed by the Romans anymore. They wanted to take over. So this was a method for them to stop them. But Jesus was a pacifist. He says that often. He argues the point with the other guy that Jesus was a pacifist. And I think in that video that they keep telling me to watch there, the Trash by Religious Scholar, Thunderwizard comes to the realization that Jesus made this brutal, potentially deadly whip. So, yeah, I think he kind of stops, corrects himself, and now understands, reagrees, and wasn't really looking at it in perspective. But it's like whenever they come to get Jesus to crucify him, Peter, I think, is one of his followers, cuts off a guard's ear and he heals it, and so all this is to say is one of the things that always comes to my mind, which I'm surprised he hasn't said it yet, and maybe I got my info wrong, but it's not a diss, it's just proving his point even more, that Simon Peter was a fisherman, Matthew was a tax collector. Simon Peter used to be friends with Matthew before Christ at some point. They had a falling out because he became a tax collector. Tax collector, according to the Bible, I say that not completely knowing what the older translations might say, if there's a difference, but from the Bible, and definitely the priests and the teachers and the movies you watched about Jesus of Nazareth, and the Easter story, or whatever the case is, tax collectors were evil. They were Jews that were seen as working for the Romans. They had more money than others, and they fucked with strippers, they drank a lot, they did a lot of things that weren't necessarily quote unquote holy, but they weren't actually a Roman. And I think that's accurate, but I'm not sure. But I used to watch Jesus of Nazareth every fucking year, the movie, at school. Now I'm not going to say that's all Bible truth in there, because there's a lot of leeway, but the scene that comes to mind, one of the scenes that comes to mind, is when Jesus takes all of his followers at that point to Matthew's house, his tent, at night. He's got girls in there dancing and drinking and having a good time. Peter freaks the fuck out, doesn't want to go in there, whatever. And this is where Jesus says the story about the lamb that left, the prodigal son. It's one of those stories about the father and either two kids or the shepherd leaving to find one sheep. Maybe that one, because he has all the sheep there, and he goes and finds this one black sheep. He's lost, and now he's found, and all that shit. It says that story. Well, everybody's just silent. Matthew and Simon Peter, just Peter, St. Peter, they both have like a tear in their eye, and from this point on, Matthew follows Christ. But just to take it one step further for the Thunderwizard, to give him, throw him a bone here, help him out, even though he doesn't need help. He's, like I said, I may have been to a Catholic school and have this deeply embedded in my mind. I have a really good memory to remember things. If he really was going through to become a fucking monk or go to seminary or become a priest, whatever he was going to do, he knows more than I would. Although that may be from a biased perspective, because it's coming from the perspective of Christians, what they want to do and what they want to teach and how to, you know what I mean? It's coming from their religious scholars. Now, I can't say with 100% certainty that they don't look at both sides of the argument. I'm sure they will, to a certain degree, to be able to teach them how to debunk other people's theories, but nonetheless. So, Jesus goes in there and tips over the money changers, and he doesn't go and fuck with the tax collectors. Well, why is that? Well, according to Thunderwizard, and this is me filling in some blanks here, but it's probably because they wanted them to be on his side, to feel like Jesus is working for them. After all, Jesus is this mythical character who's in the sky, who's going to come back one day to judge the living and the fucking dead. So, you know, they need him to have a little bit of a dark side, especially in Revelation. He comes back as the judge who's going to damn a bunch of people. So they need to have a little bit of a dark side, and you know, anybody getting with money is bad. So it's implied that the tax collectors are still bad. But everybody forgets that one of his main guys that wrote that Bible, if you believe it, was a fucking previous tax collector. It was Matthew. Matthew went and fucking came and picked up taxes off him. Peter was always flipping out about it. He fucking hated him. I mean, I don't know about the Bible because it's hard to read emotions and know how things are said, you know, unless it says he said angrily, but it's like, you know. But anyways, but definitely in the movie, Simon Peter was a very angry, easily frustrated, has a short temper, short fuse kind of guys. How they paint it in, at least the Jesus of Nazareth one. This thing's like a 4-hour movie. Birth to the fucking resurrection and a little bit after that. I mean, it goes in pretty big detail. Because it was following the Bible. I wanted to get as much of the Bible's content in there to make a full movie. And, you know, up to a certain point, I was still watching it every fucking Christmas just because I wanted to understand. But, like most people who come from this background, it feels bad to say shit like Jesus doesn't exist. It feels bad. It feels wrong. Yet, I know it's accurate. Something else I want to get into, but I'll only get into a little bit later. I've got a lot more to say on this. But the point I'm just trying to make here is just to go along with what Simon Peter, what fucking Thunderwizard's saying about the whole, they didn't go against tax collectors because Jesus was used to get people to pay their taxes, stay enslaved, without uprising against the system, which is probably still used today. In some really unconscious way, we're still doing the same fucking thing, really. But I mean, our taxes go towards, you know, important shit. I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just stating facts. But, nonetheless, what the fuck? Sorry, I was thinking about something else. I hate when I do that. But, so yeah, just to take it one step further, in the story, one of the gospel writers is a fucking tax collector. So not only did, you know, Jesus say, give unto Caesar what Caesar's and pay your taxes, and be a good little fucking Jewish/Roman fucking slave or whatever, he actually befriended a tax collector, went to the guy's house, stopped everybody from taking over or whatever. I mean, I guess to Jesus' credit, he made him change his ways and he wasn't hanging with prostitutes and all that. And that's how this guy was painted, right? The tax collector, he works for the evil fucking Romans, he's the lowest of the low, because he's a Jew, taking money from Jews, even though, I mean, someone had to do it, right? He got paid well to do it. But I mean, he was painted as the lowest of the low, because he was like a traitor to his own race, basically. And Jesus makes him a friend. So, to Thunderwizard's point, I think that part is pretty evident. Whether Jesus is real or not, even if we can assume, let's say Jesus fucking is real, right? Let's say Jesus was fucking real. It wouldn't change the fact that even if it was a real man, whoever came along after, if the Jews were still oppressed, going around Jesus, it took a while for Christianity to become Roman Catholic, adopted by the Romans. According to the Roman history books, there's a lot of Romans, a lot of Catholics rather, that fucking died. We were taught these stories that there were some girls who had such devout faith that in the ring they would not say, they would not denounce Jesus and say whatever they had to say, something probably like Hail Caesar and Jesus is a fake God, I don't believe Jesus, and then they would give him a merciful death. They wouldn't have to be dragged around by this lion and slowly be eaten and have to feel the whole thing until he which I'm not against, because the world is a harsh place, and you know, you gotta slowly get your kids used to the reality of life. You can't have them thinking it's all rainbows and cotton candy, but in the same sense, you gotta fucking kind of, you know, they're innocent, you know, and you don't want to be the reason that you twist or fuck their mind either, you know? But anyways, and the point is to scare people, right? And just like the Jesus story, carrying the cross, just like these Christians that were told to denounce Jesus, look at him past death, instead of being eaten slowly by a lion. I don't think the point of that is, you know, to carry your suffering, carry your cross, as that one guy tries to make the point. I think that has more to do to try to illustrate the power of God and Jesus, what happens when you believe. So Jesus was so powerful that, you know, he could say stuff like, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," which none of us can do if we're being killed. None of us can fucking carry our cross up the hill while we're being whipped and wearing a fucking crown of thorns. I mean, they're gonna kill you anyways. You might as well tell them to go fuck themselves and then let them just fucking kill you on the spot instead of having to be there in front of everybody. And, you know, no, it's okay, I'll let my mom see this. You know what I mean? I know that's not what you're thinking. And it's not, I truly don't think it's a real story, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Most people will just let them fucking kill them there. They're gonna kill you anyways, right? So what the hell's the point? But anyways, that was the point of that story, was to show if you have 100% faith in fucking God or Jesus, you can withstand death for quite a while. You know, Jesus is resurrected and everything, right? But I remember hearing that story that she just moved on. She just quit, and they had to go in there and kill her. But it wasn't because, I mean, it was. When you paint the picture of the Romans, you know, because they're polyistic at this point, so they're all fucking evil, and they love watching people die. Now, which, you know, say what you want about it, you can say it's sick, it's gross, it's whatever. It's like, how many movies do you watch where people die? How many fucking zombie movies do we watch where people get raped, people get stabbed? You say, well, that's fiction, okay. How many true stories do we watch that are about real events? That, you know, psychopaths and whatever. Come on, think about it a little bit. We're not very much fucking different. We watch death all the time. You can see ours is different. Anyways. But they had to go and kill her because everybody was seeing the power of Christ, is how my school teachers spun it. This girl had such devout faith that she was able to withstand all these fucking things. Like, you're not just having to fucking police persecution. You try not to be stoned to death. She's like fighting off a lion. And it's like, I'll kill you right now instead of killing you slowly. You just say these words, and she's like, no, fuck you, Jesus. Blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, that's ingrained in my fucking mind. And it wasn't that, it was starting the process of changing the programming of the Romans. It's like, there's gotta be something to this. This probably can withstand all that. And once again, I got off on a tangent there, and I don't know, but all this was to say the fucking story about Matthew being a fucking tax collector, but a Jew eventually stopped being a tax collector and followed Jesus. But Jesus didn't have a problem with him being a tax collector. Probably got a fucking, probably got to write a bunch of shit off because he knew a tax collector. But not pay his taxes. You know, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, because unless you're gonna friend a fucking tax collector like me, you have to pay. You know? But I just always think of that every time Thunderwizard talks about the tax aspect, saying that Jesus was a pacifist, he wanted everybody to pay their taxes. This is a created story by the Romans to get people to be pacified. You got a religion for the masses. Heaven, don't uprise against us. You're evil just like us. You don't want to go to hell like us, believing in all these gods. You don't want to go to hell like us. You want to go to heaven. You're better than us. Don't come down to my level. You're way better than me. Stay in slavery and go to heaven when you die. I'll go to hell. But pay me your taxes first. Okay. Now go over there and think about how heaven's going to be while I got all this money and enjoy heaven on earth. You know, something to that effect. But, oh fuck, I just had my point again and I just lost it. It'll come back to me. But anyways, this is before Romans adopted Catholicism. It took quite a while, but assuming Jesus is a real character, there's nothing to say that once they adopted this and they turned this Bible into a canon, there's no reason to assume that anywhere down the line, when they were retranslating stuff, whoever had the power to retranslate stuff, whatever the case is. I'm not saying there's some nefarious, corrupt anything there, although I think there was by some people. King James, fucking the first one comes to mind. Maybe not necessarily him, but whoever in his time. But even if Jesus was a fucking real fucking character, he still could have, just like Jesus said, he was a pacifist. He said, love God, treat respect, all the rules, treat everybody, want to be treated, all that shit. Well, it's not that they're just penciling in an extra fucking line like, hey, we want them to all know this, plus we want to pay the taxes. So we'll just, everywhere where Jesus says this, we'll just add this fucking line to it, it would have been hard. So, either way, I think Thunderwizard has a point. Matthew could have been something else. Could have been a male prostitute for all we fucking know. Could have been some other job that was considered lower than low. But it would have been hard for them to just change him and okay, well, this will really lend credence. Not only is Jesus saying give unto Caesar what Caesar's, maybe they'll just write that off and say, well, he had to say that so he won't be killed, so he get his message out there. But let's make him actually friend a tax collector. Let's make Simon Peter hate this tax collector and make these guys make Jesus even change his mind about the tax collecting issue. And, because it's the whole story, we'll get the tax collector to change and find God and all that. But, it'll still prove the point that you can friend these people that are fucking you in the ass and raping your wallets. But anyways.
Shabbat Mika commented on your video. Healing Magic Part 3 Emotion Empath Magnetic Energy. Shabbat Mika, I forgot to say Thunderwizard thrashed by religious scholar ask him, why didn't he talk about King James 1611, Ev 1611 issue of William Tyndale? Is he hiding on puppos he attacked Shakespeare calling homo hilly billy? I don't know, but please ask them because he fooled all you guys. If KJV 1611 is true and the Bible was corrupted from KJV 1611 to modern versions, I can give you many proofs. But first ask him about KJV, not about Christianity. I have an intuition. He will hide it, he will. Change the topic from KJV to deprogramming. Just see, don't take my word please, I don't know what I'm talking about, then just see if he hides it or not. Reply. Manage all comments separator if you no longer wish. Mika Vlog PC commented on your video Healing Magic 3 Programming Emotions Empath and some ritual applications. Mika Vlog PC in 1 hour 11 seconds he says, why are you abusing KJV? And before in the beginning he says there was never a perfect version, all versions are same. Why is he so interested in hiding the versions? Mika Vlog PC commented on your video Healing Magic 3 Programming Emotions Empath and some ritual applications. Mika Vlog PC, I am sorry, but I need to say Thunderwizard is hiding that King James Bible was the only true version 1611. Watch this video. Thunderwizard thrashed by scholar, he says, what are you doing with a KJV 1611 Bible, which has Shakespeare, English, and he has called hillbilly all the attacks on Shakespeare? That is his goal. Don't trust me, just comment about the version, thumbs up. And see his followers, see full followers reaction. He wants money. And you were right, I have nothing against anyone, I just don't want hypocrite. He talks shit about Christ, but doesn't talk shit about King James of 1611. Beauty Studio commented on your video episode 222 Angels and Demons, Satan and God, Cain and Abel. Beauty Studio, listen bro, I have nothing against anyone, but I have found out Thunderwizard's biggest lie more than all his lies combined. I'm coming in love, and I don't want to say anything, I just want to ask all his followers, and him actually, not so much his followers, why did he lie about this? Beauty Studio commented on your video episode 222 Angels and Demons, Satan and God, Cain and Abel. Beauty Studio, he is telling all Bibles are same when they are not. Beauty Studio commented on your video psychologically dissecting Thunderwizard for the last time. Beauty Studio, so he lied to all of us when he knew that KJV 1611 is the one-up pointing index. True Bible, I am not saying anything. Why did he lie to all of his followers, you, me, and all etc.?
Oh. Anyways, I'll talk about my day. Actually, wasn't bad, but something like this. Anyways, so I've already been talking about some shit. Whatever I already talked about, I'm gonna just leave it at that and not continue on any of those ideas about summer obviously. But the main thing I just wanted to point out in that beginning part, I'm supposed to just give an introduction to what I'm going to talk about today. And going off and talking about how Thunderwizard thinks that well, not thinks, I mean, I think it's accurate too, to maybe a different degree than what he thinks, but still think it's accurate to a certain degree, that you know, they wanted people to keep paying their taxes and believe whatever God they want to believe in, and to a certain extent it was used against them to help them stay in line and not help them stay in line and not sorry, sounds like I went away. Keep in line, help them, you know, they have heaven carrot in front of them to be good, not rebel against them and all that. So I think I made that clear. But the main thing I was trying to talk about, which I was planning on talking about, was how Matthew was a tax collector, according to what I learned. Maybe that's inaccurate, but according to what I learned, Matthew was a tax collector, and Peter hated him. And then from there, they became friends. He followed Jesus. But I mean, part of that, he was the dirty of the dirt. He was the worst of the worst. He was just not what you wanted. Nobody wanted that guy around. He hung out with other tax collectors and Romans because everybody thought that he was the worst of the worst. So, I mean, he became one of Jesus' followers. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. Thunderwizard does in fact watch my stuff, which is pretty funny. Like, I don't know. I can't tell you if he does. I always assume that I'm just not even on his radar. But you never know. And I made my microcosmic orbit video on, what was it, Monday or Tuesday this week? Tuesday. It says one day ago. Today is Thursday the 28th. Yeah, it's full moon today. Oh, full moon today was at fucking 2 when I was at work. Son of a bitch. Anyways, okay. Let's go with the fucking candle for that now. See? I couldn't do it at the time. I forgot all about it. I was working. Fine too. We finished early today. We never finished early. And all the guys wanted to go home like around 2:30. The one guy finally got up the nerve because he really wanted to go home. He got up the nerve to tell the foreman that we had to go. Guess what? Full moon. He has full invoking power with him. Although you can also say he vanished away work, but he also invoked the holiday or invoked an early day. So, you know, say what you want. It is as it is. But yeah, it's just funny. Anyways, but so I put microcosmic orbit. The picture's not the same, obviously. But then the Wizard released a video last night. It says 10 hours ago, so it was actually like this morning. It was today. Almost the next day later, and uses the same picture. Not the same picture, it's not the same picture, but it's of the microcosmic orbit meridians, as you saw in that picture. So I put mine on there. That said one day ago. I put his on there. I meant to put more like Thunderwizard and the views and all that, and I didn't. Just to cut out his views because he destroys my views. That's not what was the purpose of that. Although people might think that, but that's why I'm saying it now. Like, I don't care. I know he's way more popular than me. My God, but it's okay. I'll get there one day. One day, actually, it'll be like any day. But yeah. So I put my picture there. You saw it one day ago, and then I put his there, stating 10 hours ago. You know, and then I put them side by side so there's no confusion. But that was just to show how weird it is, and I seriously think that I could not be even on his radar, and it could be just the collective that we are not in sync with each other or anything like that. But since I watch his stuff and I learn from him, my mind is semi-connected to his mind. And, so the things I do, he does, things maybe the same things whispering in my ears or whispering in his ears. Who knows? I don't know. Can't tell you why he's got the microcosmic orbit picture on there, a day after I did mine. my video with that picture. But all that being said, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Thunderwizard's copying me, because his video didn't speak anything about the microcosmic orbit or healing magic or anything. Well, he talked about healing magic in the sense of getting rid of the false self, or your lower nature, and trying to find out like what your soul desire is, or creating your actual self, the real self, whatever you want to call it. I forget the words he used. I mean, that's a manner of healing, right? It's like an emotional healing. People gotta get out of their head that healing is only your physical body. If emotions can cause damage, if thoughts and dwelling on thoughts can cause those emotions, if not taking action, being lazy, not moving, or not being passionate about anything, or not even having sex, being backed up, can cause you to be in an emotional state. All these things can play into you not being healthy or being healthy. So, you know, in a manner of speaking, he is doing healing magic. You know, like I said, I think my last healing magic video, anything I've ever taught you magic-wise, like procedure, it's all the same. You know what I mean? If you want to do healing magic, you do it the same way as you're going to do to invoke something. Now, there are specific little things you can do specifically for like Archangel Raphael, for example. A lot of people have used him for healing, so there's a lot of energy in that sigil, and a lot of success, a lot of people that actually successfully healed people with that sigil. So that energy is embedded in there. And there's the people that use that and had success, their mind, knowing 100% that works. The people they told that believe it. The people that they told that don't believe it, but it's still in their subconscious as, you know, oh, so-and-so said this, blah, blah, blah. Even if they don't believe it on a conscious level, it's still in the subconscious. So, so there's things like that you can add to your already existing magic, but you go about it the same way, you know? Whether you decide to write on the candle or you write underneath, you write on a paper, you put it underneath your candle, you turn that into a sigil, put it on the candle and put the sigil somewhere else, or you just light the candle with Archangel Raphael's sigil on the candle, and you know, you can put a picture of the person you want healed as well underneath. You can also or you can just stare at it, and while you're looking at the flame, kind of like I said when I was watching the flame, like I saw things in the flames before, which I have. But I mean, I've also used fire magic, candle magic, in the sense of that was the first candle magic I did. Before I had all this success with just writing on a candle, I used to do it the old-fashioned way. Put a sigil on my candle is what I did mostly. I was never big on leaving a piece of paper underneath my candle, but I've done it. And they both worked, by the way, so you know. And so did staring into the flame and visualizing in that flame. It's like you're doing it in your head. You know, when you visualize something in your head happening, you just do that while your eyes are open into that flame. But you can still see the same. I don't know. I can, anyways. I can see the whole scenario going down within that candle flame. And then once I see the healing being done, then it either makes me emotional, knowing that my family member is going to be healed without a doubt, or if I can't call on those emotions right away, I can think of a circumstance that's happened in my past that'll make me emotional, get those real emotions out, even though it's not tied to that. Then I look again and I see this person healed while I'm already in that emotional state. You know, that's the whole magnetism thing I was going to talk about that I haven't talked about yet. How to use a more powerful magnet to get rid of, because what Jerry Tennant says, and also what Manly P. Hall says, in two different ways, but in the exact same way, that you can use a stronger emotion to get rid of a weaker emotion. And so basically, I don't really have an emotion when I'm going in there, but still I use an emotion that I've already had that's tied to something in my past that brings that response on. I use that memory, that visualization, to get my emotion there. And from there, I decide to, I see what I really want to happen, and then I already have that emotion, and it's easy to add on to. To try to conjure up that emotion out of nothing, when your first response might be, "Yeah, this is bullshit, this isn't going to work, blah, 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 blah." Well, that's because you're not in the right emotional state. But if you're in an emotional state of happiness, love, like, you know, whatever emotion you just called on that makes you feel something loving and passionate, it's not a stretch anymore. You know, it's just so much easier to even think about it. It's like, fuck yeah, obviously it's gonna work. You know, it's just a whole different state of mind. But anyways, all that was to just point out that you can do any kind of magic and just do it the same. And I actually promote. I think that's actually a really good idea, is to continuously do the same magic. I mean, you should try new things, but I think you should, because it's programming, right? You do the same thing every day, and you're expecting a specific result. Well, you're putting so much energy into that whenever you're done, this is going to manifest in the astral. Like, I don't know if writing on candles has always been a type of magic, but whether it has or it hasn't, it is now. You know what I mean? If it wasn't something that someone ever did, was write their whole intentions, their fuck, I forget the name of what I'm trying to say. Right, I finished my fucking thought. But anyway, so I put so much energy in the astral into this way that it works for me now, whether it worked before or not. And I mean, I'm sure it does. I'm sure I'm not the one who fucking founded this, but I've always read, you know, their statement of intent was the word I was looking for. I always read people wrote their statement of intent on parchment, put it in the fucking candle, or shit like that. But I mean, I use my fucking incense that I'm gonna fucking burn for that candle. So I'm using the incense in the candle. I'm using the incense, the end of the incense, just to write on the candle. And like I said, and by doing something, by doing something consistently every single day, you know, it's gonna really, you're just gonna start doing it. You're not even gonna think about it. You're just, every night you're gonna make a fucking candle. So that's gonna be the first thing programmed. You can't go a day without making a candle. But once that happens, once that you don't go a day without making a fucking candle, and it bugs you if you don't have any candles, like to the point where you're gonna borrow money to go buy a candle, which is fine. Just invoke money, and then you don't have to worry about that. Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And truth be told, I did a candle for that. I did a candle saying I'm so grateful that I don't ever have to worry about having enough money to buy candles, that I always have stock. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not times where me and my wife have to wait a day or two without any money, technically, but we always have gas in the car from the house and all that, and plenty of candles that, you know, if I ran out of candles that day, you know, then I'd be fucked. But I always make sure I have enough, you know, and, you know, with open conversation, with our relationship being in a great place, you know, it's never like, okay, we need some money for candles, and she doesn't, well, no, there's no money. No, we always have that dialogue. And with her mind being different now, she's no longer worried about money. And voila, she doesn't have to worry about money, you know, got money in the bank. Go to Dairy Queen and pick up fucking cheeseburgers at fucking 8 o'clock at night for my family to eat, you know. But anyways, so let's put all that shit aside. I don't know why I got into that. If I didn't finish one of those ideas, or I didn't completely explain something, then when I re-listen to it, I'll do it later. So just stay tuned for it. Don't help yourself like, fuck, you didn't finish that idea. No, I will. You just gotta give me a minute, because I don't care what the fuck he's talking about. Only 34, turning 35 this year, but man, done a lot of shit. There's a lot of fucking brain cells. I got a great memory. I have it's easy for me to get stuff in my procedural memory, which is the one like walking, talking, and all that. Well, most people don't even have their short term and their long term. It seems like I got a connection with my short term or my long term or my procedural, because it's the same way that I can vision something like at home right now in live time beside my fucking microwave. I can see it there right now. And now does that mean that's because the last person saw it? Well, it doesn't matter, because every time I do that, when I go in there, it's there. I used to do that for tests. If I didn't know a certain part, I can remember something around what the teacher said, and then as soon as I have one of her sentences that she said on that specific day, then I could see all the notes on the blackboard while I was doing the test. It was almost like cheating. But it's because it was embedded in my memory. Now, you can say, well, that's not the same, because your microwave is there in real time, and so it's not a thing, but your teacher wasn't there in real time anymore because now you're in a different place. It's like, yeah, we can get into alternate realities and different places and all that. I don't think there's a point in knowing all that stuff. I mean, it's very interesting, it's very cool, but I don't think it's completely accurate the way it's presented, but can't prove it, so why is the point of showing my opinion on it right now unless I make a video about it? But point is, it happened. Anything that's happened is there. It's somewhere. Most likely it's in your mind and everybody else's mind, but it's still there and you can access it. Some people can do it better, some people can't do it good at all. Everybody has this to a slight fucking degree, or to a large degree. But anyways, where the fuck was I going with all that shit? Holy fuck! What's going on, everybody? Done early today. Minus 25.6. Oh, it was minus 28. So decided to call it early. Technically still work 4 hours. 7-Eleven. 4 hours, I'm guessing. So, yeah. Anyway, so I didn't get into my bad day yesterday. I said a few things. That's why I didn't want to get into it. I'm still not going to see what happened or took place. Because, confidential. I don't want to talk bad about anybody. If I don't like them, I don't want to talk bad about them. And it's not even a matter of that. I kind of like the guy.
Turn right on Torino Narrows Drive.
But in the same sense, people can't treat other people with disrespect. Doesn't matter what you know about them. You know, doesn't matter if this person is intimidating or maybe you can be intimidated by them. You gotta still stand up for yourself, no matter how fucking much
350 meters, turn left on Torino Valley Drive North.
fucking stand up for yourself. So that's what I did. I don't mean why, but that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm dealing with somebody who's overcritical and likes to make fun.
Turn left on Torino Valley Drive North.
You don't know what the fuck's going on, right? You don't know how to do something and ask for help. You shouldn't be able to do it. Now, if you're asking for help, the same fucking thing over and over every single fucking day, you're not getting it, then that might be a little different. But at a certain point, you gotta understand this shit.
In 4.1 kilometers, turn left onto Rogers Stevens
That
Drive.
I'm okay with. I'm not asking the same question the other time, and I know it's kind of silly and fucking shit. I'm always going to say, hey, I'm a fucking idiot. And really, it's the last time I'm trying, but I don't know what is even on and doing. Oh, you're fucking an idiot? Yeah, I guess I am. But that's all okay with that. But whenever it's something I haven't done yet, or haven't ever done anything remotely close to that, what I can kind of put together, and I honestly don't think that's a good idea. If you haven't done something, but you know something similar, yeah, I should be like this. I'm going to try it anyways. Fuck it up. Teach me the right way, so I know how to do it going forward. And I don't want to forget it again. So, that's what I do. Anyways, when I get ridiculed or made fun of for that, it's like, no, I'm going to stand up for myself. Now, it's not just hard, depending on the person you're dealing with, because they can be a prick and make your day harder, especially if there's someone who has authority over you. But you still got to do it in a respectful way that proves that it's like, I'm not going to fucking take this shit. So that's what I did. And, I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of anxiety about today because it was just me and that said person. And if you don't watch my videos, you probably know what I'm talking about. But, full moon yesterday, I didn't do my candle on time. It's like earlier in this video was yesterday when I was talking about the whole candle situation. I did my candle last night at 10 o'clock at night. And it manifested this morning. It really did. I asked for a change in that person I'm speaking about, dealing with him. And, I worked with him one-on-one before. And today was completely different. So I saw the change in the whole fucking day. And not even a whole 24-hour period, even by day. I mean, like, literally. Last night at 10, and I'm leaving right now. It's 10:33 right now on my fucking clock. So that's 12 hours
in 1 kilometer, turn left onto Rogers Stevens Drive.
But we started working at 7, so, 12 hours minus 4 is 8 hours. 8 hours ago. And the candle, this morning before I left my house, was about to go out. I mean, it was like flickering. It had no more wax to sustain. If you ever wondered why a candle is the way it is, it's because it burns at the tip of that fucking, that shit. Fucking returns. It's wax on the fucking string.
At the stop sign, turn left onto Rogers Stevens
Wax
Drive.
on the fucking string, right? It's got wax all over the fucking thing. And then it burns down to the wax. And that wax sustains it. That wax keeps it going. That wax makes it burn slowly down. You know what I mean? That's why you can put wax on anything. You can put wax on ashes, and the ashes will burn. And this is what I do for all my leftover wax that's left over.
In 1.3 kilometers, turn left onto Snake Island Road.
I got a pimple, I got a shave, whatever. I'll pump it up a little bit, like a couple drops, put that on a fucking napkin or a Kleenex, and then I fucking take a piece of wax, let it melt on that fucking napkin, and lit that bitch up. And then as it's lit, put the piece of wax on there. That will stay lit for a couple hours. No word of a lie. Which,
in 700 meters, turn left onto Snake Island Road.
if you write something, or something in blood, by the way, it's fine, but if you write something on that tissue, or carve something on that piece of wax, fuck, I don't know what she said. Sorry about that, I had to get the directions. But,
turn left onto Snake Island Road.
where the fuck are Snake Island? Is that right here? Snake Island, that's a cool name, Snake Island. I'm going where all the snakes are. Going to Devil's Land, bitches. I think it's the wrong way, but anyways.
In 13 kilometers, turn right onto Bank Street.
So on your napkin with the blood, what you do, you go right, same leave a 10 on there, residual on there, carve it on the piece of wax, we don't know how big the piece of wax is. It's a small piece, put residual on it. But, and if that piece of wax is left over from an already used candle, well, do the same intention on that little piece of wax. Double the fucking energy. So as that candle burnt down with your intention on it, that's how much energy the elements are putting into your astral, into your subconscious mind, to your moon, especially when it's to the moon, it's even more powerful. But getting all that in there. And once that's there, that piece of wax left, which can be viewed as, okay, it still has a physical representation of the thing he wants. He wrote down, you know, I'm so grateful I have $3,000 on this candle. It's not just that candle. So you've got to get rid of that piece of candle. Right now, man, I'm so grateful I got $3,000 again on that piece of residual, or a piece of blood on your napkin. Fuck. You don't even have that blood on your napkin. You just burn the napkin with that wax on there. But it's just adding an extra layer of magic and something to anchor it in this physical realm. You know what I mean? And don't use a piece of blood to put thought form together. That's not good. I know some magic is like thought form, but blood magic is binding magic, and it's something really good. And I don't mean like slit your wrist bleeding on shit. You don't have to do that. I'm straight up telling you, any blood you add, use as an offering, which they love it. But do that, just the way I said. Put on a fucking napkin. You blow your nose, blood comes out. Your kid scratches his knee and get a little bit of blood on a tissue. Fucking burn that fucking thing and say, I'm so grateful that my kid is healthy and will live for as long as he wants to live. No, not that. But is healthy and is growing at a increasing, I don't know, whatever you want to write, whatever you want to have for your kid. But be careful imposing your will on people. It's something you shouldn't really do. So you want people to be able to impose their own will on themselves. If everybody's just worried about what they fucking do and impose a will on other people, well then we wouldn't have this problem. That's the problem with Christianity. That'll be my segue back into what we're going to talk about. But all that's to say that my magic last night worked out. And I did that. I popped this zit right here. Okay? Right there. Little zit. Popped that fucker. Oh, it's actually pretty big. But I popped that fucker. Blood came out. Took the blood. Put it on a napkin. Took the rest of the fucking candle. And, you know, it's a candle from another thing. But I didn't even write anything. I just straight up did my ritual in the middle of the ritual. So I just said that as an offering to that same god. It was left over from Saturday's candle. Saturday. And I was using that to, even though if the both part of the moon, I don't care. I banished any negativity between me and him and whatever else out of the way already with that candle. So, but anyways, that's enough for right now. I'm gonna rock out, listen to the tunes on my way home, and then I have lots of time when I get home. It's another day. I have to help with the kids, but if I get a chance, I will wrap up this video real fucking good for those 3 people that commented talking about King Shane version and how Thunderwizard is hiding or has a big lie about how there is a real Bible. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I think everybody's misinterpreting what he's saying. But maybe you're wrong. Maybe I just don't know enough. But even if he's right, there's a real version of the Bible. It's like, you know what? one thing he says often is, believe in the whole Bible or don't believe in none of it. And he says that's how it was made. It was made to fuck your mind. And then he'll go and say that the Romans created it and they become willing slaves. So there's a disconnect there. I don't know if anybody's picked up on it, but I picked up on it. I never want to comment on it because I don't give a fuck. It's just fucking bullshit. It's just fucking, it's a religion that's gonna hold you back, and there's no good that can come from it. When I tell everybody how I fucking listen to Bible stories and I get a fucking value out of it, I can do that. And this goes against what Thunderwizard was teaching and saying, because he said you can't take those stories and only similarly to Jesus without being a victim and happily with God and all that. And it's like, well, not for me, because I know the true nature of what thought forms are. When you understand that when enough people believe in a real or fictitious person, they create this thought form, this form of thought. And a powerful magician or sorcerer or wizard can talk to those things. I do it all the fucking time. And if anything, my angel dream has proved to me that I'm even more on the money than I've ever been. You can talk to Jesus, the real Jesus, and he will tell you the program shit he's supposed to tell you. Or you can ask the correct questions like I did with the angel that night and find out his true nature. So if you have Jesus in a dream and ask him, hey, how's that been? Am I a good boy? Am I going to go to heaven? All these stupid questions that go along with religion. He's going to answer you with his program. If you ask him, what are you? Are you really the Son of God? You might get the answer. The first one I got was, we're all the sons of God. And I recognized that was programmed. Now, this wasn't done in a dream. This was me straight up channeling the energy of Jesus. And I've also been singing, I've done the devil, I've done go, hey, God, me. Well, that's a little different. But I've done, I meant to say Jehovah. I've done Yaldabaoth, which is the Jehovah for the Gnostics. And I've talked to all these fucks, okay? They're all fucking thought forms. Every single last fucking one of them is a fake fucking entity that was created from human beings' emotions and thoughts. What we perceive to be real. We made it real, but it's only a form of thought. So, anything else I'm going to comment on this video about that, you need to understand that concept right there. Is where I'm coming from is I've spoken to these things. They are forms of thought. They are not real people. They are not even real entities. And they are, but they can affect you if you allow them to. If you are a magician or a witch who understands thought forms, you don't have to worry about any of these fucking things. And none of them can have any power over you. It doesn't make you anything. It doesn't make you victims. It doesn't make you anything. That's why I can talk about it, and I can take the Bible, and I can learn stories, and I can learn the ultimate meaning, and I can tell you guys about it, because I don't run the risk of believing in all or nothing bullshit. I'm the middle path. Microcosmic orbit that I channel energy from is literally the way I take my negative pole and my positive pole within my body, and I connect those energies, just like doing the middle pillar. And I use that, both positive and negative energy, together to make whatever the fuck I want. And I use that same energy to channel these fucks. And you can say, well, I don't believe that. Well, your belief isn't required. I make thought forms all the fucking time. Especially these fucks on my channel talking to me the way they're talking to me. If they are being any kind of deceiving, they already know. They already know shit's gonna go so fucked in their life if they're fucking deceiving me because of my thought forms. Now, it's not up to me. It's up to my divine mind, it's up to the gods, it's up to whatever the fuck you think. Basically, I left it up to their own karma scale. So if these people are deceiving me and they know it, and they're programmed that deceiving people is wrong, which most people are, especially Christians, then they're going to be fucked by their own energy, by their own karma. That's the scale I gave my thought for. Anybody who comes on my channel, who leaves a comment, and is trying to trick me. If they're trying to fucking set me up to do something stupid, they are going to be defeated by a God-created spirit, God, entity, demon, if you will. Doesn't matter what you think it is. I don't care. I made one. I make them all the time. I can talk to Jesus. I can send Jesus to you. Think about that. I can send Jesus to you. You say, well, no. thought forms is only the creator of the thought form can do something. You know? Not true.
In 1 kilometer,
I'm not gonna get into that because should I? No, I'm not gonna get into that. Because that's like it's not something you want to do. Imagine people saying Satan. Now, if you want to do something like that, then you need to unlock the darkness that's already in somebody and allow them to invite their own darkness into their life. And then you fuck them up. And that's simple. That is so simple. I learned that from an Avenged Sevenfold song. Wow, I got the idea from
At the light, turn right on
release the darkness in your mind. I heard that and I was like, oh my god, that's the best way to curse somebody with their own dark shit that they haven't dealt with yet. You just release that. How do you do that? I ain't telling you. I don't throw fucking pearls before fucking swine. I know how to do the dark arts. Shit. I'm a fucking... I can go either way and it doesn't bug me to perform the dark arts. Why? Because I'm fucking bipolar. I'm not bipolar, believe me. But no, I'm middle pillar, not bipolar. Bipolar means you're from one pole to the next. Middle pillar means that you're supposed to embrace both, and you realize that neither one is evil or good. Therefore, you don't get any karmic backlash. The only thing you get is cause and effect feeding. I cause something to happen, there's an effect. Therefore, by me causing an effect on somebody else, there's going to be a cause and effect to happen back to me. And I can just manipulate that energy. It doesn't matter. It's just study it and figure it out. And ask yourself, ask those entities, ask yourself, but those entities know. Jesus will tell you how to do fucking witchcraft. And I know it's blasphemy. I get it. But you're programmed just like Jesus is programmed. Here's a good thing to understand. When you study thought forms, the creation of thought forms and entities, servitors is the best name. Just look up servitors. Egrigores too. Egrigores is a servitor for a mass scale. A servitor is a personal thought form. But my definition is thought forms is what people make unknowingly. But the reason I use the word thought form is because I no longer make these things unknowingly. I make them knowingly now. And I want to change that so I don't ever have the option of making these things unknowingly. Now it may be a little complicated, but that's just how it has to be. You'll come to a level to understand that sometimes. Servitors is what a magician or witch, wizard, whatever, makes consciously with intention. First servitor you should make is one to destroy all your other thought forms you've ever created unintentionally. You're going to have an etheric, spiritual entity that you make to go create all the other spiritual, etheric entities that you've ever made. People who are in too much emotion and added so much thought and action and manifesting this being that's beside you now all the time, telling you never going to be this way, you're never going to have fun, you're never going to fucking this way, whatever the case is. And every time you've ever dwelled on something like that, that's what happened. Okay? I'm supposed to end this like 10 minutes ago, I'm still going. Well, not 10 minutes ago, 5. But anyways, a little bit about thought forms and servitors, I guess. I should keep going, but I don't want to. But anyways, and this is darkness is so much mind. How do you do that? Well, I just gave you the answer. There's other ways to go about it without creating a thought form, but creating a thought form, darkness is so much mind, why you're just bad. Well, no, that's the easiest way. And since you're originating the energy, then that energy will come back to you if you have this karmic scale of good and bad. It's like, I don't know. Let their shit bounce off you, go back to them. Or better yet, take their negativity they're throwing at you with the transformation ritual, transform that into energy that will unlock the darkness in your mind. This way, you're not creating the energy. So you create a thought form of it, you create the energetic being that's going to go there and fuck with your mind. Therefore, karmic blackness, okay? But, if they're going to throw negativity at you anyways, you use transformation ritual, and all that energy doesn't affect you, you transform it, and it gets reset to them. You see what you're sending it? Yes, you're sending their own energy back at them, which is eventually going to happen anyways. So what happens on a regular basis is someone sends negativity your way, it affects you, and you finally decide that you don't want to be affected by negativity anymore. They get re-affected by their negativity that they originated. Okay? So by you doing the transformation syndrome and sending it, you're just cutting out you being the middleman process and delaying their karma. This is why people don't think karma is real, or it's not. It's really not real. But cause and effect is real because they do all these causes, bad things or good things, and they don't get the good things in return. This shit takes time. If you affect somebody by your good act, then they're going to want to pay it. So you're going to get anyways. It doesn't matter all this shit. But that's the best way to unleash the darkness in someone's mind. They're going to think they're cursed, but it's just not. It's not all their unconscious bullshit. All this shit that's been starting them, they've never dealt with, you're just releasing them. Really, you're doing them a favor because then they can be conscious of it. And it's going to fuck them up because it fucks everybody up. You know, it's a way to fuck up somebody, but do them a favor at the same time. So, no karmic backlash. Got it? So, anybody wants to fuck with me? Prepare for that shit, motherfuckers. You're either getting the thought form or I'm going to transform your shit to fucking unlock all your dark shit. And it's going to be amplified. Like, it's going to be amplified. Like, if you literally have really bad demons in there, like bad addictions or bad things that you don't want to overcome, oh, that's going to be the first thing to go. First thing to go. That's going to fuck your life right the fuck up. I don't care one point more of another. I'm talking to my alter ego right now, the magician, the guy who's worried about my self-preservation above all things. So anybody plotting against me is going to get fucked. Alright, going forward now, King James and Thunderwizard. What are we going to say about all this biz? Man, I really don't give a fucking shiz, but it is what it is. Let's get into this biz. Nah, that didn't work. That was close. Wow, that was fun. Come on. Alright, so. What was my segue again? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Fun. Okay, so. You heard the comments. I'm not going to play them again. Maybe I should move the comments to right before this part. So if I did that, you already noticed I did that. If you didn't, then if I didn't, then I didn't. But you can always go back and listen to them. But what it was mostly the first comment was something about, I think it was like opposite intention, to be honest, now that I think about it. Oh, King James. Anyways, doesn't matter. But the last two were about this real Bible, and it's about shitting on Christ. Someone has nothing against anybody. It's Mika Blog PC. She's got nothing against anybody, but she hates people shitting on Christ. It makes sense. Just to take her side for a moment here. If you have a strong belief in Christ, and maybe you attributed things to Christ in the past, he's done some things for you, helped you out, perceivably. Well then, I get it. But Thunderwizard's very clear on what he wants to talk about. I can comment on this all I want and talk about King James Version, all that shit. But it's not going to do anything. Plus, it's not my place to comment on his video. On what he says. What he says is his beliefs. It's his research that led him to those things, so it just is as it is. There's really no reason for me to get into why he asked the question, if you want to know about Jesus, why do you have a King James Bible? The King James Bible is such a far translation from the first Bibles, it's not even close, you know what I mean? And you would have to look this up, but to see, because he is most likely was Jehovah's Witness or First Baptist or one of those sects. He wasn't just a regular Roman Catholic Catholicism that I am. We use the King James Bible in what technically I am classified as. I am a fucking witch, and I practice ceremonial witchcraft, which takes from everywhere, including Christianity. And I'm talking about the Christianity of the Canaanites, the Judaism. That's the kind of shit I take from. But the King James Bible is like the worst Bible to use, because that's when we know the most translations happened. Not necessarily the most translations, but there was no J in 1611 for that. If you look at that Bible, if you look at the 1611, I mean, he doesn't say 1611 King James. He just says King James. You have King James Bible. Like, what are you doing with that, basically? If you want to learn about Christ, you got to go back further. Probably learn Latin is what I got out of it. I don't see anything nefarious in that comment. Now, you look hard enough at anything, you can really twist things around. And Lord knows I've done that in the past with Thunderwizard too. So I get why people are sending me this shit and want me to break it down. And I want to do it justice, But I'm having a hard time just wrapping my head around what they exactly want me to do. I watched the video, I listened to it, but I don't get that vibe from him. The vibe I get from him when he says, well, why do you have a King James Bible? Is more to the sense of that's such a far away from, you can go on and get a Bible close to the 300s. So whenever they think that canon was put together, whatever the case was. He says stuff like that. It's always been the case. This has always been canon. But like I said, there's a disconnect there, because he also talks about how the Romans had a hand in it. And obviously it's the Roman Catholic, right? So it's a lot of polytheistic traditions in there, mixed and turned into monotheism, first of all. And there's a lot of garbage and bullshit in all of it. But the Romans built it, and this is the only way it makes sense what he's saying would be if the Romans created it, and then the church came along later on and used it in coordination to get people to have that slave mentality. And I don't know if he's saying they did it on purpose to keep you in a slave mentality, or they just really believe in this doctrine because that's what they were taught as kids, to believe in this doctrine, and they're just unconscious of it, which I think is what he's getting at. They're unconscious of the effects of believing in Jesus and what happens. I've studied Luciferianism. That's the Luciferian doctrine. It's a free book on YouTube. Whether that's the real or not real, I don't know. But it's an eye-opening book. It has nothing to do with some devil or Satan figure. It has everything to do with empowering yourself. But when it comes to satanic people that believe in the power of Satan as the opposition of Jehovah, and if they're coming from a belief that it isn't, that there's thought forms, that really neither one of them are gods, and that they're lesser than us, then if they're coming up with that idea, then they're fucked. That just doesn't make any sense. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say. I agree with Thunderwizard that they're just as extreme as the Christians. Just a different polarity. I'm not happy with Christianity, so I'm going to go to the other side. What's the other side? Well, it's the devil. So it's like the complete opposite, Satanness. Which makes sense. There's one episode I played of Frederick Xavier going against a Christian guy, having a battle back and forth about the Bible and if Christ was a magician. Well, this guy at the beginning of the video, whether you believe it or not, and it's probably more likely to not be true, but he says, I was even a Satanist at one point, so he knows all about this magic stuff, and what Frater's doing is releasing demons into your mind through whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then Frater says, at some point, after he mentions, I used to be a Satanist, which he brings up quite frequently to make fun of him, which is pretty funny, but he says, most often, I find that people that get into that go and study Satanists are extreme, just like Christians. I forget how you worded it, but it's just to show you that the Christian trying occult stuff goes to the devil, because they've been programmed from the religion that occult knowledge is from the devil. But they don't get out of that mindset. So you're either in a God mindset, like I'm on God's side, but the devil exists, or I'm on the devil's side, but God also exists. And you got to shed all that and say both of them are thought forms created by us, who are a part of the all. And therefore, if we're part of the all, then we have more authority, we have more power over these beings. And we don't have to let these beings run our life. We just work a job until we die kind of bullshit. That's stupid. Fuck, my eyes are closing. Better go get my fucking pills right now. I'll come back on. So I just listened to the comments again, just to get a better picture of it. And the first one, like I said, says something to the effect of everything's been corrupted. Bible has been corrupted and everything since then. Prior to that is more real. Now, I'm sure they're going to comment and tell me if I'm right about that or if I'm wrong about that. So after this video's done, if I got that wrong and I speculating on your comment the wrong way, let me know. I'm okay with talking about this shit. I don't care. But I still want everybody to know, first and foremost, I don't believe in Christ. I don't believe in the Bible. I believe every entity name in that Bible, like saint-wise, prophet-wise, is something you can call on and talk to, because it is a programmable, or it has been a programmed servitor. Actually, with the Bible, it's more like egregore. It's for the masses. It's a mass. Well, if you any study witchcraft, chaos magic too, how to make an egregore. Well, you write down. You have to make a picture of your what your thought form looks like. Okay, it's going to be on the astral. No one's going to see it, but you can make what it looks like. You give it programming. You give it a name. It has to have a food source that it has to get. However you set it up. It could be daily. It could be monthly. It could be weekly. It has to have a place to live. You have to have a kill code. How to retire it. I know all that sounds a little fucked, but I'm telling you, do the study on it. It's real. You can do this. And I played Manny P. Hall the one day where he talked about there's elements and elementals, but then there's something else that's an elementary, I think is what he called it. But it's basically a form of thought that we, with our emotions, give things thought forms. This is a fucking philosopher, a 33-degree Mason. Say what you want about the Masons. I know most people think they're evil, but this guy was trying to help the world. He was giving philosophies on how to, so people can break things down and work it out and get away from Christianity per se. So these things would be more like egregores because they're mass level, mass scale for the masses. But and it's minus 28 if you don't remember me saying it. That's why I'm all geared out still. But so anyways, I was just saying that if I get your comment wrong, let me know. The next two comments are so similar and so weird. I got nothing against anybody. Now I know I talked about that, so that could be why. It could be just to play on my own words. Talk to somebody and you want them to think you're on their side. Well, you use their own things. Like, I don't have anything against anybody. I say that often. Most people say the same thing. I tend to think, anyways, doesn't matter. But the last two people almost seem like they're trying to say, but Beauty School and Mika Vlog PC, almost seem like they're trying to say that the King James Version is the Bible, or from his words, they interpret that there is one true Bible, and Thunderwizard's holding it from us. Now, if we were to believe those things are true, there'd be something bigger that needs to be addressed. Would be, is Thunderwizard really a Catholic, Roman Catholic, or First Baptist, or Jehovah's Witness, or born again Christian, or Mormon? One of those various types of Christianity. Would he really be one? And his main goal is to get people to either believe or not believe in the Bible. And how do you do that? Well, you promote one side or the other. It doesn't matter which side you promote, you're going to eventually get people there. And going by his actions, how he goes against the New Age, how he's for the media, there's a lot of things that I could spin and say he is maybe someone who's infiltrated New Age and trying to get people the wrong message. But that's not true. And I can spin that as much as I wanted to. And God knows, one of the first videos I made about him, I thought that. More study and tarot revealed differently. Except for a little bit of programming he still has, especially against Christianity, which the tarot also revealed to me, which is pretty simple to see. It talks about doing research from a biased angle, but the research he's done in the past while he was in a seminary was biased. It was from the Christian side. And now any information he does against it is because he's mad at the years he's lost from them or how disempowering it is. So he's doing it from a biased state nonetheless. But his intentions, and good intentions, could lead you to hell. The road to hell is paved full of good intentions. So do that for you what you want. But right now his intentions are to help people the way he's been helped, the way he got out of it. But I'm almost in complete and utter full agreement with the man. And you can say I'm blind, I don't see the truth, but it's like, whatever, then don't believe me. You don't have to watch my channel. The Lord knows I've went up against Thunderwizard quite a few times. I've been hit with resistance, and now I don't have to worry about getting hit by resistance, but sorry, I'm very tired right now. I'm trying to keep my eyes open. Let me finish this in a second. I don't know why I said I hit resistance. But anyways, so I went up against Thunderwizard quite a few times, and I'm not doing that anymore. I am agreeing to disagree. I am taking the middle path on most of the things he speaks of when it comes to anything that he's pick a side on. And I mean, most things have a side, right? But for what I'm talking about is the spiritual information and knowledge that I receive from him. I don't have to pick a side on. It's either true or it's not true to me, one or the other. And it's not like, well, I'm on the true side or on the false side. It's like, oh, fuck me, I'm tired. It's basically to say, Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of Jesus or anything like that, but like if he goes on about flat Earth versus globe Earth, if he goes on about NASA and moon landings, if he goes on about mask wearing and all that, like I'm not gonna go against that stuff. I'm not a reaction video person. My videos aren't made to just comment on what Thunderwizard says. Now, like I just said before, he went from one extreme to the next. So he finds what Frederick Xavier was saying in that video I was trying to get at. It says he finds the people that are attracted to Christianity, people that are sometimes try Satanism, and it doesn't work. They only go back to Christianity, and the reason for it is they're both extreme. Christianity is an extreme religion, whether you want to believe it or not. It may not be anymore, but I think that's Thunderwizard's point. And whenever someone decides to do a different religion, they go for the opposite extreme. So they're both the same. Christianity and Satanism are the same. They couldn't exist without each other. One couldn't exist without the other one. There's just two different degrees, two different perspectives of religion. That's it. It's like saying, Mars and Venus are opposite each other, but the opposites are the same. What are really different would be fire and water. Those aren't opposites. The only thing that are opposite about them is the moon or water is definitely, it's like female, and Mars or fire is male, but they're not above them. Air and water are actually opposites, and fire and earth are opposites, which means on some level they're the same. They're just different extremes. And you can say, well, how's that possible? It's like, well, any extreme, there's a middle to it. It's linear. It's from one side to the next. One can't exist without the other one. Temperature. It's either really cold or really hot. Sometimes it's in the middle. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's like plus 15, sometimes it's minus 15, Today it was minus 28 was its coldest where I was. That's pretty extreme. But what's the opposite of that? Well, it's the same thing, but the other way. It's plus 28. But this minus 28 and this plus 28 are connected by a linear line, whether it's up and down, or side to side, but it's connected by a line. So they meet, meaning Christianity and Satanism are both needed. If you want to be a Christian, you need to have those Satanists there. If you want to be a Satanist, you need Christianity, or else the whole thing falls apart. It doesn't work. So the real opposite is Christianity or your own religion, or no religion, I guess, if you want, but your own religion. Picking from whatever the fuck you want, doing whatever the fuck you want. Who says you have to pick someone else's tradition? Technically, that person made that tradition at some point, and when they made it, people probably thought they were fucking wackadoo too, saying we already have a tradition. Why would you make your own tradition? Jesus, my eyes open. Brutal. So fucking tired. But that's the point. It's like we should take from all religions if you want, or take from none. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do anything anybody else says. But I don't think Thunderwizard's wrong when he says to drop Christianity, because there is a victim mindset that comes with that you have to be saved by Jesus, that you are a dirty sinner. That does get programmed in your head. It's your unconscious. That is not a good thing.
That is the opposite of what a religion should be. A religion should empower you, not call you a dirty little sinner. And the biggest and best way that Christianity empowers you is God loves everybody and he'll forgive you of all your sins. And one day you get to go to this ultimate retirement fucking crib, place in the sky. Going up to the spirit in the sky, that's where I'm gonna go when I die. When they lay me down to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Yeah, well, there's no place like that. Sorry. Sucks, but there is none. It doesn't exist. You reincarnate unless you can navigate through the astral. And then, potentially, you don't have to reincarnate. I don't think it really is about soul desire. I don't think. That's one of the disagreements I have with him. I think we maybe should achieve that, and there is probably something here for us, but I think we gotta figure out what the fuck we do when we're unconscious, how to navigate our soul while we're unconscious. But that's just my opinion. And I'm not saying Thunderwizard is wrong. I'm just stating that I don't believe in that opinion. That's all. Oh shit. See, my eyes look more sleepy down here. Right up here, a little more open, right? Down here. Is it just me or is it my camera? Okay. No. Alright, so I keep it up here. Well, now I'm trying to keep them open there, but oh no. Alright. Sorry. Anyways, look at that. Ooh. Ooh. Fuck, I need to work out again. Anyways, so like that's his opinion. That's what he believes, and that's fine, I'm taking a ceremonial magic approach to it. I'm not taking a either reincarnate or go to a higher realm kind of Christian idea. You know what I mean? That's not the idea I take. And I don't know if that may or may not be Thunderwizard's take, and it doesn't matter what his take is. I know he says something like you get to evolve into the next step or something to that effect, which is something I've also said before too. But I think you evolve to the next step when you realize how to add consciousness to your unconscious self when you're sleeping. That's what I mean by that, unconscious. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to finish up this video in a way that may or may not please, but will hopefully satisfy most people who've been watching this so far. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, where else are you gonna go if you're already watching the video?
Like good work ethic. This is something altogether different. It is self-directed shame. There is nothing honorable in that. You don't have to do that. And that is, again, the message of Christianity. And you, my friend, are bringing that claim absolutely to the forefront. And that you unconsciously believe that. That's why you're so stimulated by what I'm saying. And I'm telling you, you can drop it. If you listen to my message instead of taking it personally, if you listen to what I'm saying, you can let go of all of that stuff and be free. That is the point. I'm not doing this just to bag on Jesus or religion. My whole point of doing this is to free you so that you don't have to be saddled with that shame and that misery. All right. This is Thunderwizard's own projection and ironically interpretation of this passage. It has nothing to do with making someone feel like crap, but rather is saying that when the crap is on you, you take responsibility for it. What does that mean? When the crap is on you, you take responsibility for it. Taking responsibility for the crap on you says, I don't want to live this way. I refuse to live like this. I got myself into this problem. I'm going to get myself out. I'm going to trust the universe. It doesn't mean that you keep carrying it to your demise. So he says, but rather it is saying when you take the crap on, you take responsibility for it. Don't get it on everyone else. This aspect of personal responsibility is shared with almost every religion and philosophy on earth to varying degrees. Hell, even Satanism agrees with it. Yeah, except that you don't understand the difference. I have books, and if you're new to my channel, obviously, or you would know that I spend a huge amount of time telling people to get out of their victim mentality and to you have the choice. When you take full responsibility, you can create the life of your dreams. I've done it, so I know. But it definitely has nothing to do with carrying your cross and not burdening other people. What's the second one he says? Don't get it on everyone else. Listen, I'll talk to anybody that will listen about my frustrations, his hatred for you. That is actually what is taught. That is the only reason for Jesus. And if you want to say, well, there must have been a real Jesus and all this stuff was made up, you have no historical basis to back that up on. There's no corpus of writings of that guy. Just the normal human who came and said all those good things. He doesn't exist. So you can't make that claim. You have to be able to back it up with something. The more likely argument is that this guy never existed, that this was made up by the Romans to pacify the rebellious Jews, and because they couldn't pacify them with any other propaganda, the Romans took the Jews only, their own messianic hero, and turned him into a pacifist of love who paid his taxes and didn't resist. That's the only thing that makes sense. Other than that, you have to agree that he existed. And you can't seem to figure that part out. But you're highly offended that I blaspheme to the point of calling Jesus an unconscious asshole. All right. Let's see what else. Claim number 3, 15 minutes, arguing with me. Just accept the fact I'm not going to accept your viewpoint. It's never going to happen. And move on. If you keep doing it, I'll just for my own sanity, I'm going to end up blocking you because, we're just repeating ourselves at this point. So 2 or 3 times, it means that it's an obsession that you're really wrestling with. This is why I keep repeating myself. I'm really clear on that. I perseverate on this whole thing about Christianity and Jesus because it is bothersome to me. It's a deeply disturbing concept, and that's why I keep talking about it. Hey, you don't like it, go somewhere else. I don't blame you. I turn off channels all the time. I wouldn't watch me. So you won't hurt my feelings if you stop watching me. Now he's going to quote the Bible for some reason. Let's see what this is about here. He's quoting, I guess, where Jesus goes in the temple. He even has a King James Version Bible. So if you don't know whether Jesus existed, what are you doing with a King James Version Bible? John 2:15. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, which is really nasty, by the way. You know what that is? It's like a handheld whip made out of leather, and then the cords are wrapped around. And now he's going to quote the Bible for some reason. Let's see what this is about here. He's quoting, I guess, where Jesus goes in the temple. He even has a King James Version Bible. So if you don't know whether Jesus existed, what are you doing with a King James Version Bible?
I'm a little more awake now. Show my Bluetooth. Oh no. All right. Yeah, these headphones pick up Bluetooth, but I don't think it always. I know. Anyway, so I was gonna play more than that, but I'm not because I got other shit I gotta play. But what do I think Thunderwizard means by King James Version? First of all, the first thing I'm going to say, I'll repeat it right at the end of the video as well, is to the 3 people commenting on this, I need to know exactly what you want me to do. And even if you guys both all have different theories or different angles or perceptions, just my email is somewhere. You can also comment. I don't know if you send me links, it might go right to the junk or the spam folder, but my email is Corey LeBlanc 1111. That's 4 ones in a row, okay? At gmail.com. Okay, hold on. Let me show you that. So, people that delete their comments, this is where I can always see your comments anyways. The full comment, even after you delete it, it gets sent to my YouTube. And then from there, I either just play it right from there, from YouTube, which is what you heard, was me playing it from, or not from YouTube, from my Gmail. 1, 2, 3, 4. At gmail.com. So that's my email, and that's also where your comments go after you delete them, so I still get to see them. But they're not in the video anymore for other people to see them, I guess, is that's the point. But there you go. So what this is, I'm not stating. Oh, sorry. So Corey.LeBlanc1111 Corey LeBlanc 41s@gmail.com. That's my email. So by all means, just comment on any one of my videos, and I'll get the notification in my YouTube studio. I'll also get a notification on YouTube, which partially lets me see it, but if the message is longer, I can't see the rest if you delete it when I click on it. But I can see the full one in my Gmail, in my email account. But you can send me an email with links if you want for the information on what you're trying to get at, by what you think's happening, what Thunderwizard's hiding, what you think his real intention is. Just send me the information. Send me what you think is going on and what proof you have, and whatever you want to tell me about the King James Bible to, I think, the last person, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was the first one. I don't know which one of you guys, but one of you said you had proof about King James, blah, 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 blah. I know a lot of that stuff already. For example, King James, well, the James was spelled with an I at that time in 1611, and in 1590, I think, was the other Bible that I read by him. Jesus had an I in it, you know, all these words. The I was the J at that point in time, and that's why a lot of people like to refer to Jesus as Jesus. One of the reasons, but that it might just be a pronouncing thing. But whatever you want me, I want it to be clear on what exactly you want. And I'm not saying I'm going to cater to you, but I'd rather know exactly where you're coming from, and so I can either help if it's worth helping, or you know, either way, whatever you've got, let me know. But just telling me that Thunderwizard is hiding the true Bible, or he says that because he thinks King James Bible is the real Bible, or something like that, to imply there's something nefarious going on by just that one comment, to me, that's not the case. And I'm going to play something right here that I just looked up. 7 things you don't know about the King James Bible. Now, this is coming from someone who likes the King James Bible. So, and that's the thing I want to point out. The research I did. Both things I'm going to play here for you are both from Christian people who like the Bible and are defending the Bible. So I'm doing my research coming from an actual Christian, not from somebody who would have necessarily the opposite viewpoint or not. And here's the thing, like, I don't care either way. You know, I'm going to play something at the end that I like to point out to people about the Bible. But even though it goes directly against what I do personally, and it was like a direct attack, assault, this translation, I don't hate the Bible for it, or the people that read it. As long as they leave me the fuck alone, I don't give a shit what they do. Believe in it, don't believe in it, doesn't matter. I like watching Jordan Peterson dissect the Bible and put his own spin on it, because he's a very smart man, and everything that comes out of his mouth is intelligent. So he can take the Pinocchio story, or the story about Horus, or the Lion King, or the story about Cain and Abel, or the story about Jesus, and turn it into a lesson. He has that capability. And for me, someone who knows the true nature of what Jesus and all these things are just thought forms, and they're not fact. They're not real. That's my opinion. That's what I believe. That's what I know. Like, I know that. Like, but anyways, like I said, that doesn't make it not real, because there's a thought form of Jesus out there that lives in, like, the minds of everybody, basically, right? It's a form of thought that lives in their head, that it's a real guy, but that's it. It's not actually really somewhere. It's in their mind. Now, what's in the mind might be more real than what's here on earth. Especially, you know, when you dream at night, you know, you can't control those things, yet it's coming from you. You know what I mean? So this is why I say adding your consciousness to that dream state, to that unconscious state, and being able to do stuff in that state might be the goal. Might be what we're supposed to do here. Might be something we should know how to do, so that when we die, it's a lot like being asleep, unconscious, whatever the case is, because apparently when you die, you get the biggest DMT release. And every night when you go to sleep, you get a small mini DMT release. So those things are both the same. So if you get a big one, well, maybe that's when you're supposed to navigate yourself through, and you have a certain amount of time to navigate yourself somewhere. You know what I mean? People have died and come back, and they haven't passed that DMT trip, and they said it felt like forever when they were dead. meaning they had a long time to try to get to where they had to go, and then they were told to come back because they didn't know how to navigate through that. It was just a dream. So they were in their dream state, meaning they had no control whenever they were having that that I'm dead on the table, yet I'm talking to somebody right now. They had that experience, but they weren't able to control it because it was like a dream. So I'm not saying that proves anything or doesn't prove anything. I think that simply tells us that we have to learn how to navigate that. And there's lots of people that know how to do that. And I'm learning how to do it. I'm getting better and better and better at taking control of my dreams. Far from perfect, but I'm getting better at it. You know, right now there's this randomness to it, meaning as soon as I realize it's a dream, I can take over it. But sometimes I don't realize it in time. Sometimes I don't realize it to the end, whatever the case is. But, you know, if this last time, whenever, God forbid, I pass away, and at least I have that random chance right now that I'll be able to take control and guide myself somewhere. So, anyways, but here's what I think is the reason why Thunderwizard said, why, if you're trying to learn about Jesus, why do you have a King James Version Bible? This is why what I think is real, why he said that.
The language of the King James Bible, the KJV, uses many archaic words, words such as jangling, subtle, privily, and holpen, etc. And it uses archaic expressions and phrases that are unfamiliar to modern readers. For instance, how many people readily understand charity vaunteth not itself? Or these verses in Job. He runneth upon him, even on his neck, upon the thick bosses of his bucklers, because he covereth his face with his fatness, and maketh collops of fat on his flanks. Job 15:26-27 KJV. Earlier editions of the KJV also use spelling that is outdated, which can be confusing for some readers, e.g., son for son. Furthermore, the edition of the KJV that is still commonly used contains several words that have changed in meaning over time. Words such as flowers, suffer, vial, quit, conversation, draft, as in draft house, and bowels convey different meanings to modern readers than was intended by both the KJV translators and the original authors of the biblical texts. See Lev 15:24 KJV, Matt 19:14 KJV, 1 Cor 16:13 KJV, Phil 3:20-21 KJV, 2 Kings 10:27, Song 5:4 KJV, etc. The fact that the KJV uses the word unicorn 9 times, see here, and satyr twice, Isa 13:21 KJV, Isa 34:14 KJV, is also problematic, as unicorns and satyrs are regarded as mythological creatures rather than the real animals, wild oxen and goats, that are mentioned in the Hebrew Bible and in many contemporary translations. Note that the New King James Bible, commissioned in 1975, has replaced archaic and outdated words while retaining the basic text and style of the KJV, and it doesn't contain the words unicorn or satyr. Apart from its dated language, there are a few other shortcomings that KJV-only people seem unaware of. Moreover, many accept incorrect statements that are frequently made about the KJV. The following paragraphs contain 7 pieces of information that some KJV-only people may not be aware of. 1. The KJV was not the first English translation of the Bible. A few King James-only Christians believed that the King James Bible was the first English translation of the Scriptures. This belief is incorrect. John Wycliffe's Bible was translated from Latin into English and hand-copied in the 1400s. In 1526, almost 100 years before the KJV was first published, William Tyndale's English translation of the Greek New Testament was printed. A decade or so later, full English Bibles began to be printed. First came the Coverdale Bible, 1535-1537, which used Tyndale's NT, as did the Matthew Bible, 1537. Then came Richard Taverner's Bible, 1539, closely followed by the Great Bible, 1539-1541. The Geneva Bible, 1556-1560, was published by and for Calvinist Puritans. The Bishop's Bible, 1568, was based on the Great Bible and edited by Church of England bishops, partly, in response to the Geneva Bible. The Douay Rheims Bible, 1582-1609, was translated from the Latin Vulgate, rather than Hebrew and Greek, for the Roman Catholic Church. 1. Much of the KJV, which was first published in 1611, borrows heavily from earlier English translations, especially Tyndale's New Testament and the Bishop's Bible. 2. The KJV was not the first authorized English translation of the Bible. The KJV was not the first approved or first authorized English translation. The 1537 edition of the Coverdale Bible was officially approved by Henry VIII and bears the royal license on the title page, and the Great Bible, 1539, was authorized by Henry VIII. Thomas Cromwell, Vicar General and Henry's secretary, issued an injunction that a copy of the Great Bible be set up in every parish church. It was consequently the first, and only, English Bible formally authorized for public use. 2. 3. The KJV has been through several editions. Some King James-only Christians believed that the King James Bible perfectly preserved the scriptures for all time. If this is the case, there would have been no need for further edits. The current edition of the KJV is different from the original 1611 translation and several other early editions. The KJV Bible we use today is actually based primarily on the major revision completed in 1769, 158 years after the first edition. 3. Interestingly, the 1611 version, and all other editions of the KJV that were published for the next 50 years, contain the Apocrypha. Protestant Christians do not regard the apocryphal books as uniquely inspired and authoritative. The 1666 edition was the first edition of the KJV that did not include these extra books. Article 6 of the 39 Articles, ratified in 1562 before the KJV was first published, explains the Church of England's position on the canonical and apocryphal books of the Bible. 4. King James authorized the new translation for political reasons. King James believed that a single, authorized version was a political and social necessity. He hoped this book would hold together the warring factions of the Church of England and the Puritans that threatened to tear apart both church and country. Most of the translators were clergymen belonging to the Church of England, but at least some had Puritan sympathies. 4. King James issued over a dozen rules that the translators had to follow. He disliked the Geneva Bible, the Bible used by the Puritans, because he believed that some of the comments in the margin notes were seditious and did not show enough respect for kings. 5. James' new translation was to have no commentary in the margins. King James favored the hierarchical structure of the Church of England and wanted the new translation to use words that supported a bishop-led hierarchy. In keeping with his preferred views on church government, he specified, the old ecclesiastical words are to be kept, as the word church is not to be translated congregation. I personally believe congregation is a better translation of the Greek word ekklesia. In some verses King James also ruled that only his new Bible could be read in England's churches. The political motives of King James had a direct influence on the translation of the KJV. The translation rules of King James can be found here and here. 5. The translators of the KJV 1611 were relatively unfamiliar with Koine Greek. Koine, common Greek, is the original language of the New Testament, but the KJV translators of the New Testament, who were accomplished scholars of classical Greek, were relatively unfamiliar with Koine Greek. Koine Greek was not well understood. Some people suggested it was a Judaic or Hebraic Greek. Some even believed it was a unique, Spirit-inspired dialect. 6. It was not until the 1800s and early 1900s, when tens of thousands of papyrus documents were discovered, many written in Koine, that we began to understand the language more fully. 7. Unlike the translators of the KJV, modern translators of the New Testament are scholars of Koine Greek. There are also some issues with the KJV translation of the Hebrew into English in the Old Testament. 8. 6. The KJV translation of the NT is based on relatively recent Greek manuscripts, as well as relying on previous English translations. The 1611 edition of the KJV relied on critically edited Greek texts that were for the most part based on about half a dozen very late manuscripts, none earlier than the 12th century AD. 9. These Greek texts included 5 printed editions of the Greek New Testament by Erasmus, 10, as well as Robert S. Zakeu, Stephanus edition, 1550, and Theodore Beza's edition, 1598. Michael Holmes writes more about the Greek texts behind English Bibles here. Unfortunately, one of the manuscripts Estienne and Beza used for their Greek editions contained a few corrections that downplayed the importance of women in the church. 11. 7. The Textus Receptus, or received text, is basically Erasmus' Greek text. Many KJV advocates claim that the New Testament in the King James Bible was translated from a Greek text known as the Textus Receptus TR, and that the TR is especially accurate and inspired. The term Textus Receptus was first coined in 1633, after the KJV was first published, and it basically refers to Erasmus' critical text. The current version of the TR was produced in 1894 by a scrivener who preferred the Byzantine, or majority, text. The Byzantine majority text is similar but not identical to the Textus Receptus, 12. Most modern translations of the New Testament are based on critical Greek texts that take into account a larger collection of texts than was available to Erasmus when he was creating his critical texts. A few of these previously unavailable manuscripts date from as early as the 3rd century, which makes them much closer to the date that the New Testament books and letters were written by the biblical authors. Criticisms of recent Bible translations. One of the criticisms leveled at some modern English translations is that the New Testament was translated from the Westcott and Hort Greek New Testament. However, more recent translations, such as the 2011 edition of the New International Version (NIV), are based on the 27th edition of the Nestle Aland United Bible Society's Greek New Testament. This is a critical text that takes into consideration all known Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, as well as New Testament quotations from early church fathers and from ancient lectionaries. 13. Any criticism of the Westcott and Hort text, or the men themselves, and much of the criticism has been misleading and outright slander, has no relevance whatsoever to the latest edition of the New International Version and other recent translations. Another criticism of newer translations is that some words and phrases, and even a few passages, that are included in the KJV, are absent in newer translations. These are not omissions. Rather, these words and phrases are additions in the Textus Receptus and in the KJV. These additions are absent in some of the more ancient Greek manuscripts. Most modern translations still acknowledge the traditional additions in some way, in margin notes, in footnotes, or they are printed in a different font, etc. More about the additional verses in the KJV here. See also the video below. Conclusion: the King James Version is an excellent translation, but many of the recent English translations are better. I mostly read the New Testament in Greek, but the English Bibles I use most often are the Christian Standard Bible (CSB), the Common English Bible (SEB), the New International Version (NIV 2011), the New American Standard Bible (NASB), the New Revised Standard Version (NRSV), and the King James Version (KJV). Most of the other, better-known English translations are fine too. It is most important that we read a Bible that we can understand. The New Testament was originally written in Common Ave. Unfortunately, one of the manuscripts Estienne and Beza used for their Greek editions contained a few corrections that downplayed the importance of women in the Church. 11. Unfortunately, one of the manuscripts Estienne and Beza used for their Greek editions contained a few corrections that downplayed the importance of women in the Church. 11.
Many interesting things in there. Now, once again, I think I'm going to end the video here because it's already 2 hours. But if you want me to make a part 2 to this, a conclusion to this, I'm talking directly to those three people who keep emailing me, or sorry, keep commenting, which goes into my email, so it's almost like emailing me. Alright, so to anybody who else also wants to chime in on this, by all means, go for it. Yeah, I said it to those 3 people, but anybody who has an opinion on this, by any means, you want to let me know where the proof is or what Thunderwizard's up to, whatever. I'm okay with that. I didn't want to just say to only those 3 people. If someone else out there bugs them, whatever. But ultimately, I think you got to get on board with what Thunderwizard's trying to say, because he's trying to help you deprogram. Keep commenting on me having something to say, or comment on Thunderwizard and the King James Bible and wants me to say something to him. Well, if you want me to say something to him, you want me to make another video, you want me to do something like this, you give me whatever proof you have besides that one video, or give me at least your unique perspective of what it is, a little more details on why you think that is. And if you have anything to back it up, or do you just have those weird words he says, let me know and I'll do it. Now, I'm going to leave everybody with pharmakia. Pharmakia is the Greek word we get our word pharmacy from. Well, before King James, I think it was King James, but before, this was the word in the Bible. And then they switched this word to witchcraft. Okay, now the theory is, and I can't back this up, but the theory is that King James was having problems with witches, maybe just women in general. So we put witchcraft in there. And this way it was in the Bible, condemn it. And after a few generations, it's easy for people to just be like, no, it's always been witchcraft. But for some reason, we were able to find out that it used to be pharmakia. And once again, this is also from a Christian. This is actually the exact same information that Frederick Xavier played on his channel when he went through this exact statement on Birch talks about thou shalt not suffer a poisoner to live, which changed to thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And this also happened after this one. I didn't want to put that one in there too, it would have been too much. But Flater talks about how, you know, he doesn't do any drugs. He's performing magic, but he's not popping pills while he's performing magic. And, you know, but anyways, so I'm going to leave everybody with that. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Everybody who commented, thank you. I appreciate the comments, as long as you're not being deceiving, but I appreciate the comments. And, yeah, send me what you really want me to do with some proof to go on about some of this. Because seriously, like I said, I think it's just the things you just heard about was the reason he said that, because political reasons, like the political reasons, like in the 12th century, there was books added. The Apocrypha books were added to the New Testament, like 12th century. That means that's the 1100s. 100 years after Christ was gone. Watch TV, baby. Thank you. That's a beautiful hug. Oh, you're so cute. So in the 1100s, sometimes they add books to that Bible. Like really? And I think in 2011 there was another translation. Oh, you're beautiful too, baby. Thank you. I'll be there. I'm gonna come lay down with you right now, okay? And you know, I played that thing a second time, downplaying the role of women in the church. I mean, that's brutal. I already talked about that. I'd probably go to church if there's more women there involved. You know, once again, somebody had a problem with women, witches. But anyways, so I think it has to do with that. It's that Bible is so far from when supposed Christ lived. You know, and it might be just his programming. You know, he was into the church for a while, and if his church, his denomination that he was doing, let's say he was a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness, First Baptist, like you heard in this thing, King James wanted to rival one of the other Bibles that were created, the 1700 version Bible from somewhere else. You know what I mean? It was like a little war thing going on. Whose Bible's better? So they keep adding new things. Say, well, our Bible allows this. Our Bible doesn't allow this. It's like, so the further you get, the further it gets away from the Word of God, quote unquote. Meaning, I think that's why he said that. It's like you need an old ass version, one of the first English translations, and you need to translate all them fucked up words that you don't know what they mean. And that's what you should be doing if you're a true Christian and you really believe in Christ. That's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be looking at the latest version that's more political and grudge oriented and trying to make people into good little citizens, you know what I mean, to unite people as one from church and state and all that kind of shit. So anyways, that's it for today. It's a long fucking video. For anybody who watched the whole thing, I appreciate it, but I doubt I'm not gonna say it, but I really appreciate everybody who's watched, just the thousands of people that have already watched this video. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.